Hey guys, we're here with another Your Home Helper podcast where we talk about everything related to real estate, home improvement tips, as well as DIY projects that can help you with bettering your house for everyday living. Today we have a special guest, Ashley, who is a commercial photographer as well as a residential photographer that can assist you with all your photography needs. But specifically, we brought her on today to discuss why it's so important as a homeowner to get professional photos of your house. So stay tuned, check it out the episode, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Listen soon. So Ashley, how are you doing today?
I am excellent. How about yourself?
Doing wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad to have you today on the show.
I'm excited.
Awesome. We're going to ask you some questions, and I know that homeowners are interested to really find out exactly why they should even consider taking professional photos because, they think of some, nowadays we have these smartphones and all these other additional equipment that we can do things ourselves. But in regards to insurance purposes, what are some of the benefits for a homeowner and the reason why they should hire a professional photographer versus just doing it on their own for insurance purposes?
There's a lot of reasons to hire a professional. Okay. One, we timestamp it. Even though your phone does show date and time, our equipment archives it.
Okay.
It does a permanent archive that can hold up in court. So having that, also showing ownership. So sometimes we will actually have the owners in the images. So it separates you from the images.
Okay.
And that's oftentimes needed. Another reason I would say is we also hold a copy of it. Okay. So if something happens to your copy, we have a backup. We have something that hasn't been altered. And again, that goes up to when you ever have to make a claim or should it go to litigation.
Okay.
So there's a lot of reasons to hire a professional.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, storage is something that, of course, is a big thing because nowadays we take pictures, we forget about them, we lose them in our phones, we lose the phone in general, and there's no way of getting that information. So it would appear that having a professional photographer that has, tons of storage and holds this information for their clients when they need it or puts it in a separate file for they can hold on to it is the way to go in order for safekeeping.
Right. Yeah. And that's a good question to ask also the photographer, because some people only will keep it for a year, 2 years, or up to 5 years.
Gotcha.
So it all depends on that particular photographer, but that's a good question to ask them when you're seeking out a professional, for sure. Storage keeping. How long are these photos going to be retained so you can come back to get them later? Or if you need to get a copy of your own files and store it onto your actual desk drive or wherever you want, hard drive, wherever you want to store it, because it's so important to have the actual timestamp of that particular photos of how your home looked at that particular time when the photos were taken, because when a claim is filed, and it could be destroyed in the reason why you're filing the claim. So if you lost them and you're trying to file a claim, then you want to have someone that has them as well. So for sure.
There you go. It's always better for two people to have it instead of just one. You can count on two. Somebody got to have it at the end of the day when you have another person taking the photos. Okay. Here it is. You get hired to do a job, hired to take photos of someone's home. How do you ensure that those photos are taken accurately of the home's condition and the contents of that particular home to make sure that it's well documented or illustrated to anybody that's visually looking at those photos?
Okay, first it starts with a conversation. Okay. Because we need to know why we're there and what we're taking pictures of. Some people might hire a professional to take images of their personal property, so things that they purchased, whether it's a big TV or they have a new sound system, and they want those things documented just in case their house catches on fire or lightning strikes their TV. Okay. So those images are taken totally different from someone that is trying to do a structural documentation. They want to know how my my property looks right now. And then you have some people that are doing add-ons.
Okay.
So they want a before and after to ensure that it was done properly, or to show that this house has changed. So if they want to sell it later, that square footage is documented. Yeah.
And it's so important to have that square footage documented, because that increases the value of the home.
Right, exactly.
You know, without that additional photos to show that, hey, this is what we have, during the process of the building phase.
Right.
That gives another opportunity to make sure that it's permanent, make sure that those photos are being shown for permanent reasons when you go to show the county that, hey, we did do this during this particular time to the house and everything looks good. Can we have this permit pulled on it?
Right.
So,
and it always shows upgrades, because that's a big thing. We upgraded this and we changed this. So it's actually showing a visual representation of the upgrades.
Yes. Well, what about lighting and everything as it involves, because, I'm pretty sure that, yes, someone that has a regular camera can think about taking their own photos, but how much does lighting play a role into getting the correct contents and the correct visualization of that actual home components?
Right. So when it comes to the art of photography, lighting is a big deal.
Okay.
So oftentimes a real estate photographer shoots in what's called HDR, a high dynamic range.
Okay.
And so in a sense, we're taking 3 pictures at one time. So we're taking a extremely low light, a mid light, and a high light, a very bright picture. And then we will come and merge those together so that everything in the room is seen. Your eyes can only take in so much light at a time.
Yes.
And so much color at a time.
Okay.
So we're manipulating the camera to show the full spectrum of what's out there. So when you see those images, you see everything in the shadows and everything that is super bright. Everything becomes even, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. That was a very detailed answer, because I didn't even think about the whole methodology behind taking those photos and how they play a role in offsetting different hues of the actual, like maybe say cabinets being upgraded cabinets. And if you didn't have the right lighting, you couldn't tell the difference between them being upgraded or standard, looking cabinets, which plays a role in when it's time to file a claim if you're getting such amount of money to replace those cabinets.
Right, and it's all in the exposure. So if you're taking a picture of a room, you want to be able to see what's closest to the camera and what's far away. So we're exposing 3 different ways to take the totality of your home, not just one spot. And then the other thing that a lot of people don't consider is warping or perspective. So your camera will change the perspective of a picture and will make it look photoshopped, even if it isn't. So we use what's called lens tilting. We will tilt the lens or have a actual lens tilt. It's actually a lens that does tilt, and it'll keep the perspective of an image. So for instance, when you stand outside and you're looking up at a big building, it starts to go into a point. That's altered perspective. It should look straight up, right? So we keep the perspective in the room so it doesn't have those warping moments that subconsciously plays with the mind. And
if an underwriter is looking at your claim, you want to make sure that all these details are conveying that message correctly. Because underwriters will deny a claim quick if that information is not documented from a visualization standpoint. So
correct.
That's why you don't want to mess around and just do things on your own. Get a professional. As you can tell based on these answers that Ashley has given, there's way more to just taking regular photos. So get a professional. So as a person that's a homeowner that are, let's say took it upon themselves to take pictures anyway, and now they notice after watching this episode that hiring a professional photographer is the best route to go. What are some of the challenges that maybe that you would say that you will help them overcome based on some of the things that they probably did incorrectly, and showing that, hey, this is what you could have did to fix it. Right.
So number 1 would be the lighting.
Okay.
Just correcting the lighting. And that a lot of realtors can appreciate that property won't sell sometimes because of the lighting.
That's true.
Lighting matters.
Yes.
So if an insurance company is going to take the claim, you want to make sure everything is visual. So that would be the first thing that's corrected.
Okay.
Sometimes we will move, depending on what they're hiring a photographer for, if it's structural or an add-on, we'll take some of the personal or smaller items out. Okay. A lot of people have a cluttered picture, but that's not what they need. They need to be able to see what they're looking for. So if it's a wall, or you're saying, hey, we're going to knock this wall down and make it into a window, we need to see the wall. Correct. So we would walk in with you prior to the shoot and tell you how to move things around. So that's a big issue. Oftentimes people don't really pay attention to the clutter because they're numb to it. They don't see it anymore. But when you walk into a first space, you see the brush on the cabinet. They don't see it anymore. So all of those things matter. We'll start taking things out. A lot of animal things, dog cages need to be moved. So that's definitely something that we would go over. Another thing, if they've already taken the images, it's not really much we can do if it's just starting over. You just really have to start.
You got to start over.
Yeah.
You should have just, it's like, went and worked on your own cars and you come to a mechanic, they got to do everything over. And plus it's going to cost you more because they had to do everything over. So,
and time.
It's best to just go with a photographer, a professional photographer, to make sure that, hey, you don't want to, jeopardize your pictures based on things that you didn't consider before you started taking those photos. So like Ashley just spoke about, lighting, rearranging some of the items in the room. And was there one else missing?
No, one more, because if you're documenting the items in your home, I know someone who's she was an adjuster. Yes. And she told me one day, she said, you have to document the stuff in your home. We have to do it in a in a discreet way. Yes. She said, family photos or family videos, so that way you can have that if your house burns down. Yeah. And that we overcome that as photographers. You'll see a lot of people who have expensive things in their home by hiring a lifestyle photographer. You're not hiring a real estate photographer. Yeah. You're hiring someone that comes in and documents your day with your family. Okay. And that shows that you're in the pictures and you're not being obvious taking pictures of your TV, but your TV is in the picture. Gotcha. Your sound system is in the picture. Your lock box is in the picture. Okay. So, but those pictures matter for always if your house catches on fire. Those are the biggest things people look for, because you can't prove that you had that TV. Yes. You cannot prove certain things. And that's really how I started doing photography for insurance purposes. When she made that comment, I thought, oh my gosh. Yeah. So I do lifestyle photography for those who are concerned about the items in their home. And I wonder how many people are listening to this and they haven't even considered taking pictures of the house. They will after this, of course. Of course, you don't want anything to happen to your home, but you have to expect the unexpected, and you want to make sure that you're covered if that was to happen. So just get the photos taken of your home. It's really gonna be helpful when that hopefully that time doesn't arise, but do it anyway. Right. So let's give an example to the audience in regards to a personal situation when you were helping, let's say, a person that had a home and you took professional photos, and how it helped them overcome some of the challenges with the insurance company with filing a claim. Okay, I have two examples. Okay. One was for my neighbor. And they didn't know they needed my help until they needed my help. See? I was actually documenting my daughters at my home. Okay. And their property was in the background. On 2 days after Christmas, their house catches on fire. And that was this year. This past year. Their house catches on fire. And it's like 3 a.m, and we hear sirens and we run out, and their house is ablaze. No. And they weren't home. An ember from their fireplace reunited and set the house on fire. So because I had documentation of outside that I was doing with my children, we could see certain things in their property. So they were able to file claims for those things.
Wow.
Because of the documentation.
That's why you need a helpful neighbor. That's why you need to get to know your neighbors.
Right.
And don't try to, be quiet about what's going on. You need to get to know your neighbors, because you never know when your neighbors can come in and step in and help you during a time of devastation like that time.
Right.
If she would have never had that party or that event at her home to take pictures outside that included the next door neighbor, there would have been a chance where opportunity would have arisen to have that stuff taken care of by insurance claim. It would have been even better if neighbor would have called to have the inside.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. Had they fully documented, they could have claimed more.
See?
But at least they were able to claim something,
yes.
But they would have been able to claim more. And another example, it's not a home, but I work with a tree service.
Okay.
For emergency jobs, they hire me to come out and take pictures before they start and when they're done. So this particular time, I came out and the tree was dead. It was a dead tree. And I'm taking pictures of him talking to the homeowner and explaining things. You can't hear the conversation because it's a picture.
Yes.
But you see him pointing things out. And the homeowner decided not to get the tree removed. They said, let me think about it. Okay. And so we left. And they called back, and the tree service said, hey, we're going to do the tree. Can you come back out in 3 hours? So I came back out, taking pictures of them starting, and the limb falls on the house. The tree service and the homeowner sues the tree service. And it went to litigation, and I was brought in. And my images showed the tree service was on this side of the tree, but the limb fell on this side. It also timestamped when we first came out, and he was showing him this tree is dead.
Yeah.
I was also able to magnify the images to see that the tree was breaking the first time he came out. It was already coming down. So when they went to litigation, that homeowner ended up having more trouble on his hands because he was saying that the tree service was at fault. Yeah. But he had prior knowledge that it was already damaged. So having images, documents, because it was time stamped. We were able to magnify. We were able to show placement of people. Yeah. So the owner knew, and the tree service was on the other side. So being able to document those things, and that's similar to lifestyle imaging. If you're taking them of your home on the inside, or even if you're doing structural things, you can say this is the condition it was in before we started. Or when we got the images, or when you're first purchasing a home, this is how I bought it. Because oftentimes a house might have prior damage, correct, and you have a certain amount of time to say, hey, you didn't disclose this. Yes. So having those images when you first move in a home are also important. Yeah. Or when you vacate a home to say, hey, this is how I left the property, and just having those in your hand for a year or 2 years, however long you have before someone can make a claim against you. That is an incredible example of not only someone that owns a tree service company being protected by your pictures. Right. I didn't even think about the other side of it, because we've been focusing on the homeowner, but that actually protected the tree service company to show that, hey, they had nothing involved. And I would say, in addition to that, let's say that, taking photos of any type of jobs. You talk about structural, you talk about replacing a roof or something like that. Having documentation of when those construction repairs being made is great in between the stages too, because there could be times where the contractor can be in fault for some things. And as a homeowner, if you don't have any documentation, it's almost a he say versus she say type of situation. So having a photographer come out just for big repairs or big replacements is good for that as well. Man, that's incredible. And that's what it would have been. And their lawyer, the tree service, said that it would have been he said, she said, and the tree service would have been at fault. Had they, because they were able to say, no, we have documentation that claim, because they lost half of their roof. That tree was massive. So the tree service would have been at fault. But because they do their due diligence, all emergency jobs, they hire me to come out and do before and after. because it's important.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
you know, anything can happen.
Yeah, people are, you know, lawsuit happy sometimes. And
Right.
Documentation is the best way to avoid those particular instances from coming up, or even taking it as far as a judge. Or, you know, of course, if you can minimize the litigation process, it's best to do that in front, and having documentation to show people, hey, this was the condition at the time, is always a best favor on your side. So tremendously, I recommend having a professional photographer document, take pictures of your house for documentation. Because
images are, they accompany insurance. Like it's a good partnership to have images, to just, it's an extra added insurance and an extra added peace of mind to whatever you're doing or getting ready to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, what type of techniques do you use to capture high quality photos that sometimes, you know, a regular person using a camera phone or any regular camera could not do? Can you touch on that for me?
Right, so camera phones are very advanced. I can't knock it whatsoever. But we also, there are things that professionals use, such as, I can't even think of the name, full frame.
Okay.
So we're not clipping any of the image. Your camera's going to clip the edges. We're taking the entire space.
Okay.
So that's one of the benefits of a professional. We already talked about HDR, taking the several images to make sure the exposure is correct, lens tilting. And all of that is important because you want to do as much as you can in camera, not in post. In the world of Photoshop and Canva, a lot of people are manipulating images. But when it comes to this style of taking images, this is documentary.
Yes.
Documentary means no editing, or little to no editing.
Yes.
So you want to keep that in mind, that you're not going to take those images and try to change anything about them.
Yes.
And as a photographer, we're kind of held to a certain standard to say, hey, we didn't do that. When it comes to documentary photography, the rule is you don't touch it. And people get in a lot of trouble about that. When they change the lighting or anything, you want to do as much as you can in camera, and nothing once the picture is clicked. That's it. Leave it how it is.
I wonder if the insurance underwriters or insurance company can identify if a photo has been tampered with, and that's maybe something that, of course, a photographer would do, but a person as a homeowner and possibly get in question for fraud if the insurance company finds out that it's been tampered with.
Right, because you can add things into a picture. And you can take things away, and you can tell that by lighting. You know, you can. People always say, "Well, can you just add this person in the picture?" And it's like, yeah, I can add them, but you're gonna tell that they've been added. Even though technology is great, lighting is very subtle.
Okay.
We can match a lot, but shadow and brightness, you can't always get that right. The way light hits, the way the light will reflect off of us has to be identical. And we can come very close, but an expert can tell. Someone that's really, especially an insurance company that does not want to pay the claim, they're going to hire somebody that's going to figure out, was this really here? Did this really happen like this? So, and when we put our SD card, the memory card, into the camera, our system, if you're using Photoshop or any Adobe product, will tell you what's been done to that image.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll tell you what lens we used, so when we took it, what camera was used. All of that is, this is called the metadata. All of that is on that image. Each image has its own metadata. So you want to be very careful about that.
Do not manipulate the photos.
Do not.
You know, even the photographer photos that are given to you, please do not find ways to Photoshop, because we don't want you behind a jail cell because you decided to add a 70-inch flat screen TV to your living room. You know it wasn't there. Don't
that wall can't even support that.
The wall can't support it. You know. So, let's say a homeowner is in the mindset of hiring a professional photographer. What is a good place to start when looking for a professional photographer to hire? Because of course, we have the great Ashley here. Provide them, but if, let's say, they're outside of your local location where you can assist them, what should they look for when they're considering a professional photographer to take documentation for insurance purposes of their home?
I would say make sure the photographer stays in their lane.
Okay.
Don't hire a pet photographer to do that. Find someone whose niche is that.
Okay.
I'm a commercial photographer, so I take images for businesses to help them reach their marketing goals. So I do a lot of real estate photography. So you want a real estate photographer, someone who does it often and who knows what they're doing, who knows how to control lighting in camera. If you're documenting for your personal items, hire a lifestyle photographer.
Okay.
You're not hiring a real estate photographer for that. You're hiring a lifestyle photographer, someone who knows how to take organic pictures, who don't need you to pose and smile. That's different from a portrait photographer, because that person is saying, hey, look at the camera, smile, hold them like this. That's totally different. So they're not comfortable in lifestyle photography because you want it to look organic.
Yes.
So make sure you're hiring a person that's in that lane.
Okay.
Because a lot of photographers will do, I do everything. I do weddings and I do dogs. And I'm like, no, you're not what I want.
No.
I want you to specialize in this.
Okay.
Because it matters. A home is a high value item.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't have property in their names. So if you're going to document it, especially for insurance reasons, pay a little extra.
That's all.
So you can get what you want.
Yes.
Because I often tell people, sometimes you don't pay for, you get what you don't pay for. You didn't pay for high quality image, so you didn't get it. So pay for what you want.
Yes.
And it's not expensive.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it's going to help you tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
Because these are hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, an item, a house is hundreds of thousands. So paying, $300 for images that are going to protect your assets, I think the math is math.
It makes sense. It's pennies on a dollar.
Right, it makes sense.
It's, again, I want to talk again about the hiring the right professional. Don't get a person that specializes in elementary birthday parties to do pictures of your home for insurance purposes. Don't hire a professional that takes pictures of animals all day, every day at zoos or anywhere else to do your real estate insurance documentary. So just hire the right professional that does that on an ongoing basis, so you can put yourself in the best position to file the claim without any type of form of kickback from the insurance agent, because these are not clear or not providing the right information or conveying the right information to the actual underwriter. So
and I have one more thing, having someone that is pleasant. You should talk to them before you hire them. Okay. Because if you do need them, you want them to be able to give you those images. Yes. So if they don't have time for you now, they're not going to have time for you when you really need them. And ask those questions again. How long are you archiving these images? How long will you have them on your hard drive? How are you storing them? Because some photographers store to the cloud. And that's not always the best. Some people only store on hard drives. That's never the best. If you're only storing on a hard drive, because those things go down. Then you're trying to find them pictures and you're in trouble. So you want to make sure that they're storing them several ways. That they're giving you the digitals to those, that you have those. All of my clients have access to a portal, and all of their images are in a online gallery. And I'll keep them there for a year to 2 years for them to access, and then I'll hold them for another 5, unless they express to me, hey, I need them longer. So like the tree service, I'll do up to 10 years. Yes. Because you just never know.
Yeah. So you guys, you heard it from the professional herself, Ashley, here to service you in your insurance documentary photos. And hey, we have some great information that is going to be provided on our YouTube channel in regards to this. Please visit the podcast, the YouTube channel, or any social media outlet that we have in order to see more information about this in regards to insurance photography documentary. Can you give them your Instagram or any social media outlet that they can reach you?
Yes, I am Ash M Photog, and that's the same thing on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok is Ash M PHOTOG.
Awesome. Hey, well, we had a great time with you, Ashley. You answered all our questions. I'm pretty sure that the audience is happy that they feel comfortable now hiring a professional photography to protect their assets.
It's needed.
So thanks again, and we look forward to the next episode with you.
All right, I'm excited.
You guys have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.